people were already moving to the country. The mindset in the cities is all the food's out in the country. Let's just go there. They'll come very quickly. It's not going to be months. I mean, obviously being out in the more rural settings, we're going to have a little heads up. You know, they're not going after tiny town Tennessee first, but give it a week, give it 2 weeks, and the migration's going to start coming very quickly.
A bicyclist in Florida got a strange email from Google that said law enforcement was requesting his user data. This bicyclist found out he was a suspect in a burglary. His Google location pinged him near the scene of a crime a year earlier. He was innocent. He was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. His phone betrayed him. Google says it received 11,554 similar warrants from law enforcement, each one requesting a user's geolocation. This is why a VPN like Virtual Shield is so important. It hides your location from tech giants. You can head over to virtualshield.com, and in the download tab, I'm going to choose Firefox. And click Install Now to add the Virtual Shield add-on. It's just that easy. And get started with your free 30-day trial. Install it, click Connect. You'll see the shield turn from red to green. And you'll see how from my initial service provider, I was able to even change my IP. Virtual Shield Network protected. This is why I highly recommend Virtual Shield VPN. Get 50% off for life with a free 30-day trial. Download it today. Go to virtualshield.com/adapt2030 or click on the link in the description box below. And now on with the video. And good afternoon, everyone. You know, things are becoming so timely with the information flowing at lightning speed. The changes are so vast that things that normally would have taken 6 months or a year are happening within a week. It's even difficult to keep up with what's happening, how fast new laws, new everything is moving. From the food shortages, one day there's enough, next day it's in complete shortage and run out of a country. So the way it's moving, you're always playing catch up right now with the information flow. So as we move, we're going to move back to a pioneering lifestyle where you're going to be required to take responsibility for yourselves, your security, fire, so many things. So I'm here with Ken today, Pinball Preparedness. You can find his feed right over at prepper.com, Pinball Preparedness. Now we live in the same neck of the woods, if you will. The inbound that we can see broadcast across the way. Now, the people that pretend they're running things are now saying that there'll be nothing for Christmas. Stock up now. There's going to be shortages everywhere. So where does that leave you and I? Hopefully we can get some good information today. So Ken, thank you for joining me because I'm really interested. I see a bunch of your videos on YouTube too. And you know, it's the time that we really take action, compare information, and maybe there'll be an idea or two that somebody that hasn't heard or listened to us before will come out and say, hey, thanks for bringing that. I didn't think about that, but it could save their life. So we're here again. Now, you know, how would governments react if they knew it's here? Okay, so it's just a certain amount of people have this information that we're back at this cycle again. This time you have 8 billion people. You know they're going to get angry. You know they're hungry. They will get hungry, and they're going to be fighting for food on the streets, and they're going to want change like every single time. So how would you control that so you and a person in power wouldn't be as threatened? You know, that's kind of where it rolls back down to is, it seems to be a lot of measures to keep people split up and keep a large, even wider moat between power brokers and the individual citizens. That is the perfect excuse for everybody to disappear. Work from home. Now what? It cut a bunch of CO2 emissions from traffic, et cetera. Where did everybody go? I mean, where literally are all these people that were running these companies, the CFOs, COOs, CEOs? Yeah, they still appear on a camera somewhere, but where are they? Poof, gone in the wind.
Well, and the other thing about the work from home, and again, you can take technology right into that as well. You know, it's a running joke almost, but social skills of a generation, if not two now, are completely gone. Okay. People, younger people for the most part, don't have the ability to have social interaction. They're very awkward at it because it's easier to sit there and text each other We've all seen, I've seen my daughter do it, be sitting on the couch next to a friend, and rather than talk to each other, they're texting each other and they're 3 feet apart. So now you're getting that almost trained, become from the work from home, trained out of people to have social skills. So now if we have a big event, people are going to be uncomfortable, if not untrained anymore, to deal with people on a social level, which divides us even more, which makes it harder and harder and harder for communities to get set up, until you have that one person comes up and says, I'm in charge. You're all going to do what I tell you to. And everybody goes, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
It's a dangerous mind training exercise.
Right.
Because when things go wrong, what do you anticipate? You're pretty remote. I'm pretty remote too. But, the whole saying goes, half a tank of gas to come out to Murad, they're going to want to go back to their home base. Can they get a second tank of gas? And how far are you outside the population center? And how easy would it be for them to find you down the dirt road, turn right, turn right, turn right, turn right, down to the very dead end of the road? That's kind of where it comes to. But, suburbs are going to have a much more threat base to them than remote countryside. But eventually people might start wandering out. So if you're looking at safety issues from remote countryside back toward, country towns, and then back into suburbs, and then straight into the city,
well,
how quickly would they get out to the countryside is what I would ask.
Very quickly. Just look at the migration pattern, if you will, during COVID. People left California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey like crazy. Where did they go? They went to Texas, Tennessee, Florida. Those were the 3 big states. They weren't moving to, Dallas, to Houston, to Miami. People were already moving to the country. The mindset in the cities is all the food's out in the country. Let's just go there. They'll come very quickly. It's not going to be months. Obviously, being out in the more rural settings, we're going to have a little heads up. They're not going after tiny town Tennessee first, but give it a week, give it 2 weeks, and the migration's going to start coming very quickly. And the infrastructure, if you will, and I'm not talking about governmental infrastructure, I'm talking about places to live or whatever, buildings to keep people, is not set up in the rural areas to take an influx of that many people. There's 250,000 or so people in Knoxville proper. My county has 19,000 people in it. If 10% of Knoxville decides to head this way, that doubles our population for the entire county. There isn't the housing to put these people. So what happens? Now you have all those skirmishes. I need a warm place to stay. There's a house. We're going in.
Yeah, in my little town, 900 people, under 1,000.
Yeah.
And it's the same, stay in the barn. Nobody is going to accept your offer to stay in your barn as a place to stay. In today's,
not when you're in the house.
Yeah, not if I'm in the house and I say, yeah, you can stay in our barn back there. They're going to be like, no way. What am I, some farm animal? And they're so entitled too. They come in a dire emergency situation, yet they expect to have, 1,800 count thread sheets and hot showers and home cooked meals served to them on golden platters. Yeah, you're going to stay in the barn. Make sure you keep the goats warm out there. No, I can't do that. And then they're going to, oh, you have to let us in. We got the kids. Then, really what are you going to do when people come knocking on your door and asking for food? I got kids, I got a family, these are real world situations we're all going to have to deal with here in probably under 6 months or maybe a year max. I would say probably less. When people are going to come out knocking on your door.
Right. And
then what do you do? Threats are one thing, but people walking around saying hungry, you got a family, whatever. And then you can deal with that. So, what have you, how about, I don't know, give us, what would you do if it was somebody with a family came knocking on your door and said, my kids are super hungry. We haven't eaten in 4 days and this, that, and the other. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, and that's a very good thing. I brought that up this morning, actually. What happens when you have the 7-year-old kid whose parents died shows up on your porch? Are you going to turn him away? Or the pregnant woman who's there, all by herself? You're going to turn her away? I mean, those are realistic scenarios that's going to happen. And you hear people, in the euphoria say, "Oh, I'll give them a sack of rice and a lunch bag, with a couple of potatoes, an apple, and a sack of rice, and say, be on your way." Well, you do that 10 times, and then there's 10 people that are half a mile away from you. As they all get together, they're like, "Well, they gave me that, they gave me that, they gave me that." Well, gee, if they're giving all this, sack of rice or whatever, what else do they have? And those 10 people now all come at you at once. Now you have a problem. So you could, by doing that, inadvertently create a attacking force against you. So, a more logical idea at that point is to see what they can offer to be part of your community. And I say this a lot of times, everybody builds their mags in a perfect world. It's like, oh, we have our 15 people or whatever. Well, 15 people is not a community. You're going to need a lot more than that, because there's a lot more work that has to be done, a lot more skills that are needed. So what skills do those people have that they can bring? Hey, one's a mechanic or a tool and die maker or something, like you said before. Maybe they can help fix the vehicle that you have or the farm tractor you have. And that we're going to be forced to build communities that are going to be bigger than just our mag. And if those people are showing up at your door looking for food or a place to stay, what skills do they bring? If they don't bring any, then you've got an issue. But if they bring some skills, figure out a way that you can utilize them.
And you brought up something really incredibly important there. Pregnancy. Like, how many people are ready to give birth not in a hospital? And you take a look at this more pioneering medicine. What if you have an injury? Are you able to treat that on the spot? Hospitals will be closed or very difficult to get to. What your med kit got in there: tourniquets, great, splints, awesome. But if you're going to have a serious injury and sew somebody up, do you have the antibiotics there to try to treat the infections? The list goes on and on and on. But just a most basic thing you talk about, within this 9-month period, people are going to be given birth, women. When's the last time anybody was a midwife out in the countryside that gave birth outside a hospital? That is, you could probably count them on your one hand in your county or even your part of the state. So that's a whole nother thing to think about too, is then how do you care for the infant if they don't have, enough milk, or they don't have, and then do you have any baby formula around? And the guys I talk to on the dairy side of things are like, huge problem inbound. We need to get way more efficient, way faster with the dairy and the milk byproducts, or the dairy, milk powders and infant formulas, etc. That's just one little super tiny thing to even think about. But how much of a strain would it put on you or your community to have to do that?
Right. And now also with that one baby, that's going to takes for certain one person out of the work crew. Okay. Because that mother is going to be either sleeping or breastfeeding or doing whatever. So you've got to feed her, but you're getting no productive work. The baby somehow is going to be fed, doing laundry. There's going to be one person in a mag whose sole responsibility it is to do laundry, to do everybody's laundry. I said this the other day. Think about doing laundry. If you're not loading up the laundry machine, you are literally washing one piece of clothing a day. Family of 4, you're doing that all day. Now, imagine you have a baby in there. Everybody says, well, cloth diapers. Great. Cloth diapers have to be washed once the Pampers are gone. Now somebody's got to do all that. That one pregnancy is going to create more work for not just a mother, for the whole community.
And how many of you have a washboard? And how many of you know how to make soap?
Right.
Even something real simple like that's not a lot of things that I must say, on a prepping list, the washboard is probably not even on most people's list. Do you know how to even use a washboard? And then the soaps. Eventually your store-bought soaps will run out. So, right. campfire. How are you going to get what you need to make some soap? And that's a skill in itself. Candle making, soap making. These are old world skills that need to be brought. I mean, if anybody that come to your front door and said, yeah, I know how to make candles and soap, I'm going to give them a big hug. Come on in.
Yeah. And then you talk about, like you said, washing clothes. Can you find a washboard? I mean, it's not like you can go down to Walmart, buy one right now. I mean, you're actually looking at antique stores to get one. So, there's that issue. Then how many people are going to be out in the local lake, the creek, the pond, whatever, washing their clothes, taking a shower in there? Well, let that happen for a couple of months, and that water is now too polluted for you to do anything with. Your Berkey is not going to clean water that is basically sewage at that point.
Yeah, then you're talking about distilling and then running it through a filter.
Right. And how many people have a still?
No, I do, because I want to make alcohol from the fruit. So then I have a tradable, but then I also have medicine, because the heads, if you triple distill the heads up, then you got rubbing alcohol. All right. So I'm thinking having a still to be able to, alcohol is going to be a tradable through it's been a tradable for what, 8,000 years during, I don't care what time, it's always tradable. But to be able to manufacture that, to create your own medicine off of that byproduct, that's where you're going to get a lot of benefit too. So I'm trying to think in many directions on how to use a still water, so many things that you could do with that.
I mean, I don't have a still. I am looking and getting one. But yeah, I mean, you bring up a great point there in making medicine from it. I mean, it's more than just making your whiskey or whatever it is. It's making medicine, or distilling water, which was my reason for it. But making the medicine is a huge reason to learn how to do something like that.
And again, controlling the temperature on that. So what kind of device do you have to be able to regulate temperature while you're trying? Well, boiling water is one thing, you just roar away. But if you're going to do any distilling, you need to control the temperature a little bit better than you would on a roaring fire just to boil water. Mm-hmm. And again, that's a practice thing, and I'm just getting into it. But I have a burner under it, so I can regulate the temperature, and that's way different than, all right, you're out of gas, now you got to go to wood. Good luck keeping the coals, all the perfect temperature under there. I mean, people are going to go absolutely insane trying to just deal with the changes to just regulate and have just even the most basic of life. People are going to be frazzled beyond belief. So, I mean, it's all this mental preparation for these events as well, and the spiritual side of things, and understand there's greater powers and energies that are with us all the time here.
Well, I mean, and that's also the misnomer, and you probably hear it just like I do, or see it, where people kind of like, let's just start already, just bring it on. And it's like, you have no idea what you're asking for, and, trust me, I pray to God that we never go through the situations we all prepare for. I hope my preps are only for, gee, the power went out for a couple of days and that's it. Or it's, gee, honey, we don't have any more green beans in the pantry. Can you run into the prepper stock and get me a can of green beans so I can make dinner? I'm hoping that's all it's for. In case it's not, all right, that's what we put it for. But, the day they stick me 6 feet under, I hope when somebody's inventorying my house, it's like, oh, look at all this stuff, and it goes in a garage sale somewhere. But the people that are hoping to have to use all their preps, I think, are just looking at life unrealistically. They've wargamed this out all in their head, how it's going to be their little slice of heaven, and they have no idea that it's actually going to be their little slice of hell.
After day 2, it's going to take a direct left turn, and they're like, I didn't expect that.
Right. And that's going to happen to every single one of us. I didn't expect that. There's a million things that can possibly happen that you're going to have to make a split-second decision on that you had no idea to prep for.
Yeah, discharge rounds too. You're gonna have to live with that for the rest of your life. That's not something you do like Tuesday and you forget about it on Thursday. That stays with you for life. Thanks so much for joining us. And Ken, thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, y'all.
Bye for now.